Sehr herzliches Willkommen hier im Auswärtigen Amt zur
I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to the Foreign Office on the occasion of today's press conference with the Estonian Foreign Minister. The minister will be speaking German. Her Estonian colleague will be speaking English. We have time for a couple of questions afterwards. Yes, good afternoon, dear colleague, dear Margus. A warm welcome again to Berlin. And it's a great pleasure that I am able to welcome you directly after your visit to Washington and welcome you to Berlin, because in these turbulent times, we Europeans, Germany and Estonia stand united. Hardly any other country in Europe feels the threat by Russia's aggression so directly as the Baltic states and as directly as your country, Estonia. Even before its brutal attack on Ukraine, Putin's Russia has been targeting the Baltics with hybrid tactics, time and again, cyber attacks, the removal of border markers, economic pressure. For a long time, Putin has been waging this battle not only with tanks and missiles. No, Putin wants to sow uncertainty, divide societies, destabilize Europe's democracies. And Estonia, the Baltic states, literally are at the forefront. But at the same time, you have the most experience when it comes to hybrid threats. And we can learn from you in the field of cyber, but also benefit from your experience in this field. It is thus no coincidence that we attended the Europe 25 conference in Berlin this morning and talked about the new geopolitical realities today. We talked about that in these times of ruthlessness, rules and alliances are challenged in a targeted way. And because it's clear the European order to which we all owe our lives in peace and freedom, this order is under attack. Hardly anyone in Europe has realized this reality so early on and talked about it as clearly as the Baltic states. Hardly anyone has issued such an urgent warning about what happens when we build our security on the principle of hope. Because in the Baltics, NATO's eastern flank, the threat is not abstract. The threat is real. The tank tracks rolling across Ukrainian fields in 2022 were the cruel confirmation of what you, our Baltic friends, have said long since. Russia wants to create a new map by the use of force, and anyone who tolerates that opens the door to ever more aggression. You in Estonia know that security doesn't fall from the skies, but it is an effort. It requires a daily effort. The fact that you, together with Lithuania and Latvia, decoupled from the Russian power grid is a testament to the degree of the consistency in your answers. And it shows at the same time how important it is, and it remains, that we in Germany also cut our dependency of Russian energy. For us in Germany, it is clear our security in Europe is indivisible. Your security is also our common security. This is why we massively bolstered NATO's eastern flank. This is why our cooperation in Europe, especially as Baltic coastal states, is more important and closer than ever before. And this is why we increased our military support for Ukraine from 4 to 7 billion euro this year. But it's not just about money, it's also about speed. In the coming months, we will supply to Ukraine air defense systems, guided missiles, and surveillance radars. Because every day with insufficient protection means more deaths, more destruction, more suffering. We know Genuine peace is not achieved through capitulation. Anyone who urges Ukraine to cave in doesn't negotiate peace, but the next escalation. A ceasefire on Putin's terms would not be an end to this war, but a prelude to the next offensive. And this is why I want to reiterate and underline, without peace, there will not be an end to European sanctions. Our answer to Putin's war is peace through strength, peace through European unity and determination. Our strength lies in cohesion, in our alliances, in our democracy, in our conviction that it is not the stronger who decides, but the strength of the law. In these times of ruthlessness we're witnessing around the globe, the moment has come when we have to protect our Europe strongly and powerfully. Europe united means Europe bold and brave. And this is not our vision and our view as foreign ministers, but the large majority of people in Europe, in our societies and democracies, see it like that. The recent survey by Eurobarometer shows 3 out of 4 Europeans see the EU membership as an advantage for their country, because people know we are weak on our own. Together as European, we are a political and economic powerhouse. This is why last week's proposals by the EU Commission on a European defense industry, which were submitted last week, send out an important signal. A European defense union is not a question of if, but when. It's not just about better coordinated and dovetailed arms and armaments industries. It's about our capacity for political action. When individual EU members block this and accession talks with Ukraine or delay sanction packages, it shows to us we need to be bold to reform decision-making in the EU towards qualified majorities, towards more capabilities for action, and towards more common security. Dear Margus, I think I speak on behalf of both of us when I say Europe is confidently taking up this task, and this also is a testament to how important cooperation is between us in the Baltics, in the north, and in the Baltic region, with our different experiences, because in a world where we see maps are drawn by the use of force, no one sleeps well anymore. And thus it is a blessing that we can count on you as partners. Security is not a given, a natural state. Our security needs to be defended and protected every day. The security of Eastern Europe is also our security, German security. So thank you for your visit here today, and thank you for the amicable and wonderful cooperation in the past years.
Thank you very much for these kind words, and thank you for receiving me today here. As you mentioned, I'm coming directly from DC, Washington. We had a meeting with Foreign Secretary Rubio and many other administration members and senators and congressmen to discuss mainly Ukraine, to discuss mainly as well the European security, as well we did today during our meeting. So first of all, I would like to really deeply thank you and thank German government and German people for long-standing cooperation and support and understanding as well that we are living in a very crucial times. And unfortunately, we have lots of challenges about our defense and security. And I'm really grateful for the cooperation as well, the air patrolling missions to Estonia and every other support what we have gained from you. And also from the cooperation on European level and much more globally. As well, thank you very much for bilateral relations on economy. We are doing a lot together, and I see further large perspectives about digitalization, about defense industry cooperation, and historically as well, we are very much connected. We have been living together like I don't know, 700 years or something. So we are very close, and thank you very much for everything. So we discussed as well, of course, the negotiations or talks between US, Ukraine, and Russia. And be honest, Ukraine has done everything and agrees 100% to have a ceasefire, to have a peace which must be just and lasting and sustainable. And together with the US, they have proposed the ceasefire already 2 weeks ago. But what we see a lack of willingness from Putin's side, lack of willingness from Russia, because Russia is the only party who can actually stop this killing. And what we see more needs, more topics on the table. And actually, we know that for Putin, it is not only about Ukraine and some territories. It's about much more that Putin already announced 2007 during the Munich Security Conference. It's about elimination, the root causes for him, which started with the collapse of Soviet Union. So we need to be sure that during these talks and later as well, there won't be any kind of deals or understandings that without Ukraine, there can be decided anything about Ukraine, and also without Europe, there cannot be anything agreed without Europe, about Europe's security. And this is so important that we are working very closely together. We were talking as well what we need to do. Of course, we need to support Ukraine right now, because from the past as well in Estonia, we have experienced during our independence war in 1918 to 1920, that when we had negotiations with Russia, Soviet Russia at this time, there were the most aggressive attacks and bombings and everything at the same time. But finally, we found a way and we agreed the peace treaty, which lasted 20 years, but at least it was a peace treaty. So what we see right now is a full-scale bombings, full-scale terror against the civil object, about the civil people, and also very aggressive behavior on the flank. So we see that Russia is not actually willing, unfortunately, this peace, but let's do hope that we can push Russia under pressure and have a peace and long-lasting. And we were talking as well about sanctions and sanction regimes. We need to continue to sanction Russia until Russia is changing and not having this aggressive behavior anymore in the future. As well, we discussed about the situation with European enlargement. We definitely support and we do everything that Europe can step forward with enlargement processes with Ukraine and Moldova, and also the Balkan states. But we need to as well face the fact that there are some countries in Europe which can block these sanctions, the rollovering, already in June this year. So we need to deal together that we are not taking down the sanctions because one member state is blocking that. We cannot release the frozen assets of Russia. We are talking more than 200 billion euros, which can be released because if one member state will block the process. So we need to work together that it doesn't happen. As well, we were talking about, of course, defense, and I'm really grateful for German people and from the last week decision about restrictions of the budget. I think that it is a historical decision, and we will see it in the near future that Europe must do more. It was the main message as well from DC that NATO membership, NATO commitment is strong from US side as well, but Europe must do more, and Germany showed in a very large scale that it is possible. Estonian government decided last week that we are going to move from 3.7% of GDP, what we are having this year, up to 5% already next year, and it can be even more in the future. But it is not because of President Trump. It is because that we are committed to defense. We are committed to be ready to protect NATO and Europe. We are the border country. And the same way goes as well Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland is doing already this year 4.8%. But we are following the NATO regional defense plans which were adopted already in Vilnius 2 years ago during the summit. And we know exactly what we need, and we do it in a most rapid ways that we will be able to protect us. And Annalena, thank you for increasing as well the question and raising the question about the hybrid attacks. I don't like the word, actually, the hybrid attacks. These are the attacks against us. They are just not crossing the Article 5 level. These are attacks on all different levels, and we need to deal with that. And I'm really grateful for you, Annalena, as well. You somehow made, again, the Council of the Baltic Sea, this kind of organization, which is Estonia now chairing during your times, very lively. And this is, we have many issues about these kind of hybrid attacks or any kind of hybrid actions we need to cooperate along the Baltic Sea. So this is mostly all. I can talk like more and more, but we have so close connections and so we are so like-minded that thank you very much for this cooperation. So.
We have time for 2 questions. Jörg Blank, DPA. Madam Foreign Minister, Mr. Foreign Minister, one question on the tariffs on the automotive industry imposed by Donald Trump. How should Germany, Europe react to these tariffs? It is clear the tariffs announced by the U.S. are going to have an effect on the global economy, not just also in the U.S. The prices will increase massively. Our Canadian colleague was very clear. These tariffs imposed by the Americans are special levies or taxes on American consumers, because it is clear anyone who destroys the whole house by using a wrecking ball only because the roof needs to be restored is confronted with rubble in the end that is difficult to reassemble in the end. But we as Europeans, we have a stable foundation. There are 450 million inhabitants, the largest common market in the world. And we are going to protect our industry and our jobs. The Commission is going to impose countermeasures. We have made it clear. We Europeans, we don't want to engage in a trade war, certainly not with our friends. We are willing to engage in negotiations, but only on the basis of rules and marked by mutual respect and not by using the wrecking ball, if you will. I want to make it clear we're not acting out of a position of weakness. No, as Europeans, we intensively prepared ourselves. We prepared our market. We have a big toolbox available at our disposal to impose countermeasures when our own interests and our own economies is under attack.
Yes. From the tariff wars or trade wars, no one is going to win anything, and that's the bad way to go. Because if one party is increasing the tariffs, then the other party needs to do the same. And finally, just the consumers and people are paying for that more, as Annalena said as well. So this is the way I suggest that US and European Union, we don't need to go there. But as Annalena said as well, that from Europe's side, we have followed and we will follow everything which is agreed. But of course, one thing that European Union is good and European Commission is about trade and about tariffs. So unfortunately, probably there will be responses as it happens everywhere, and it's not a good way to go. But also, I think that Europe has a leverage to negotiate the cooperation with the United States. We just mentioned about the decisions in Europe, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, now Germany, Nordic countries, many others. We are going to invest heavily to our defense. We're talking about trillions, not billions, but trillions of euros within the next 5-6 years in Europe. So we are buying many things from US defense industry. It's not good that this kind of economical bond, transatlantic bond, will be weaker because of the trade war. So I think that in the near future, we actually need to discuss this cooperation, because Europe has a lot to offer as well to US economy and the other way around. The only powers who are winning from that is China, is Russia, is these countries who are not following actually this kind of values about the free trade or the democracies and so on. So unfortunately, we have already the second level or the second step from US side. But yes, Europe is strong and united, and we are ready to act as well. Thank you.
Zweite und letzte Frage hat Demian von Osten.
Last question, Demian von Osten, ARD. Madam Minister, your term is about to come to an end, 3.5 years. You started with a different style of foreign policy, feminist foreign policy, moral and values. How do you see that? Is there still room for these values, or do we live in times of ruthlessness where it's all about interest, tough interest, and moral and values don't have a place anymore? On the contrary, the protection of our freedom, of our peace, is the most important value for a democratic society, and it's our biggest interest. And these 3 years and this time of ruthlessness makes it clear, if we don't defend our interests and values powerfully and toughly, others will decide for us. But the majority of states sees it and agrees with that, because they all know that they will only be able to live in peace and freedom when there are rules everyone, all states stick and adhere to, because the vast majority of states are not nuclear powers, are not the biggest military powers around the globe. And the past few years have made it clear, when these states cooperate, yes, then there is a new structure in the world that is not divided up in those old clusters, West against the global South, or industrialized nations against developing nations. But those states which have rules-based order in their intrinsic interest, and despite their difference, stand united. And I think this is a special strength that should not be underestimated. And this is why strong diplomacy, which is able to have a holistic approach, think women's rights, climate protection, values and democracy. And this is our strength in these ruthless times. And the group of those who agree has become greater. Just look at the cooperation between the Gulf states and the European Union. We didn't have that kind of cooperation between the Gulf states and the European Union 7 years ago. We've got new forms of cooperation. I think we need to build upon this.
Minister Tsahkna, you've requested a short protocol moment, I believe, so please.
Yes. Don't leave. It's now the most important party is coming. So, Annalena, I use this opportunity to thank you personally in the name of Estonian government and foreign ministry and Estonian people, as a foreign minister of Germany, but also as a colleague, as a friend, I can call you, for your dedication, standing for the values. Exactly, it's the same question what was asked. It's all there. We need more of this courage. We need more this clarity about positions. We need more this kind of politicians, as you're fighting for your basic understanding how things must be. Sometimes maybe we even have disagreed, but you're a reliable partner. Your word is strong, and we are very grateful for your more than 3 years' work. You brought us closer. You were really dedicated to support Ukraine. It's a huge thing, and also support the Baltic states and this region. So I'm really grateful, and to hand over you the Estonian Foreign Ministry Merit of Order. This is the highest appreciation we can give you. But thank you very much. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored. Thank you.
Vielen Dank für Ihr Interesse. Vielen Dank.